Hey there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new paper crafting video. Today I'm going to be making two interactive projects. One is like double interactive, and then I made a matching card to go with this cute box. So let's jump in to the box project. I'm starting out by hot foiling this Clover background cover plate. All the things I'm using today are from Trinity Stamps, and I'm using brass foil and some green cardstock that is actually from Spellbinders. And then my plates are going down right on top of this. I've got the Clover plate face up, the foil pretty side down, then the cardstock. My glimmer machine heated up and I just ran that whole deck of things through my die cutting machine, and the heat and the pressure is going to transfer that image onto my cardstock, and it's gorgeous. So that is going to be what I use to help decorate my box. The box is this right here. It's called the Pull and Pot box, and this has a like pop-up mechanism already in it that is interactive, but I'm going to add two other interactive elements to this box. So I'm showing you all the die pieces. The two biggest pieces are to create the box. You have the base of the box and then like a sleeve that you open and close, and then an arm that creates the pop-up part. Now all the pieces I'm pulling off now are going to be my decorative elements. So this square or largest rectangle there is going to be the inside of the box. You don't have to do that one. And then the two smaller pieces are on the ends, and then the one longest piece, you'll need two of those. That longest rectangle will be the sides of the box. So that largest rectangle, I'm also going to cut from this mixed media paper, and that's going to be the cover of my box, the part that like pops up when you pull the box open. And then this piece right here is that interactive element that we need so that my cover piece pops up when you open the box, that arm. So we'll set that aside. I like to go ahead after I die cut and fold all the things on the scored lines and get them ready to go. And then the thing that's going to go on my cover is this pot of gold. So the pot and the gold is from the Leprechaun Loot Die Set. I did cut my pot from some black glossy cardstock, found out today that it is no longer available. So some black cardstock will be fine. All right, here, so I am making an background that will be the kind of backdrop for my little pot of gold. But in the end, I actually didn't really like this background because I wanted all of the rainbow to show. But when I did the ink blending this way, then the like green and blue part was totally covered up. That did not make me happy. So I'm going to change this, but I thought I would show you the basic ink blending process. I'm only using three colors: picked raspberry, squeezed lemonade, and mermaid lagoon. Also on this one, the tape kind of made a mark on my paper. And so when you ink blend, you can totally see where it kind of roughed up the paper. So overall, this background was not a win, but I usually typically will start with yellow in the middle and then add my pink at the top and my blue at the bottom, and then go back over with the yellow. So once I realized that was not the background for this, I decided to turn the paper and have the background go vertically. What, I don't know, it's hard to, that's a hard one for me to decide if it's vertically or horizontally. It's vertically, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there you go. So I went over it a couple times and then wanted to add some shimmer. So this is a little bottle of water that I added a few drops of liquid pixie dust to and spritzed that so it interacts with the ink itself and leaves a little touch of shimmer behind. Okay, for the gold, I die cut this out from like some mustard colored cardstock. That's going to go right in there, but there's also this die that creates like individual gold pieces. So I'm going to use a piece of gold cardstock backed with some rip and stick paper, so it kind of turns these into stickers, and then I can stick them down and then have the detail there, and that really adds to the look of this. It's so cute. But you see how that's a long piece? That is made to kind of pull in and out of the pot of gold. So that's going to be the interactive element that I add to this card or this project, as well as the card. So Just stay tuned. This is the Simply Sentimental Lucky Stamp Set. There's a coordinating die set. I'll use the die set on project number 2, and I'm going to stamp on my background, "I'm so lucky." And so I just need that pot of gold there as a reference, so I know where I can stamp and how to fit it all in. It's a very small area. Since I am stamping onto mixed media paper and I am stamping over something that's already been inked and wetted, I am using some VersaFine Onyx black ink here. It's going to be nice and bold over the top of this inked background. So this Lucky is going to just fit in there. The end of the Y actually goes off the edge just a little, but it fits perfectly. I love this. It just works so great. I love the mix of different fonts in my sentiments as well. All right, so then on the pull-out part, I'm going to stamp your, my, and then the word friend. And the word friend is on the end of one of the other sentiments, and so I'm just going to mask that part off. So I'll line it up where I want it to be, pick it up with the door of my MISTI, and then use a little bit of tape to cover up the part I don't want to ink. And then I can ink up just the word friend, and then you just want to make sure to remove the tape before you stamp in case you got any ink on it like I did. And then it says, "You're my friend." And that'll be that cute little sentiment that the recipient can read when they pull that out of the pot. So here's what I need to do. I need to have my little pot be raised up, that pot of gold, a little bit higher than my gold itself, but not so much that I wanted to use foam adhesive. So what I'm going to do is take some lightweight chipboard and just do a couple layers to help raise this up a tiny bit. I'm going to do that on the right side and the left side and on the bottom, and that's going to give me exactly the height that I need without this being too loose where the pot of the gold part could just flop out, you know. So that's ready to go, and I'll just put the glue on the back of those raised up portions to add this to my panel. Now this is a very tight squeeze, like it hangs off my background just a teensy little bit, so it fit on there, oh my gosh, perfectly. Yeah, you could put another piece on the back of this if you wanted to make it a little bit prettier. You've got a little ink smudgies on the back of mine, but I don't think it really matters. It's just personal preference. Okay, this is the Papercrafting Magic stamp set. So this has all those interactive words. I'm going to use a bunch of these on my projects today, but this one says pull, and I'm going to stamp it on one of these little clovers that come with the Leprechaun Loot die set, and this one is the 4-leaf clover, so the word pull fit on there perfectly. So I'm going to put that at the top, and you might have to tell the person what to pull on. And then the other two clovers I'll put at the bottom there as a little decorative element. I think they're really fun, a little addition to this. And also this pot is big enough, you could do lots of things on top of it. So there we have it. There is the cover for our box. Now we need to put that box together. So here's that decorative piece that I die cut from my hot foiled paper. I'm putting that on the inside of the box. Now, this isn't necessarily made for the inside of the box. It's made to go on the top, but it works great as a liner too. And I love that little element of surprise, having that decorated on the inside. So now I'm putting some double-sided adhesive tape on those smaller flaps. Those are the pieces that I'm going to adhere first when putting this box together. I like to do a mix of liquid adhesive and dry adhesive. So once I remove the backing off of that, I can just stick those flaps down. But you can see here, I am going to add the liquid glue, and that just is like a little bit of insurance that this isn't going to pop apart later. So I'm going to do that on the other end as well. So those are the first ones you want to put together on this box. I do find it kind of helpful to go ahead and put the little flaps on first, and then I know exactly where I'm going to put my decorative elements. One time when the very first box I made of this, I tried to put my decorative pieces on first, and I actually got one on the wrong flap. So yeah, I'm now folding down the largest flaps, and that really helps the sides of the box be nice and sturdy. All right, so here you see I'm adding a little extra tape on there. That's because I'm adding a am I on the third interactive element? It's just a strip of window sheet. I'm putting it through the hole and adhering it to the inside of the box. And that's going to hold an additional pop-up element for this. And I think it's really fun. So it's just about 1/4 of an inch wide there. And then I can go ahead and fold that flap down, and it's gonna kind of help hold that little acetate piece. All right, here's our decorative elements. Now on this, we only need those decorative pieces for the front and the back of the box. The side ones actually go on the sleeve. So here I am putting those together. I want to make sure they're really well adhered because these pieces are the exact size as the sides of the box. It's not like there's a little bit of a border around, which is why I did them in the same color as my box. All right, so then you wrap the sleeve around the box itself and then adhere it there at the seam. All right, so here is our interactive arm. The smaller little flap is the part that's going to connect to the lid of the box. The other one will connect to the base of the box. That's really important. It doesn't matter which one you adhere down first, but let me show you how they go. So that smaller flap is going to attach right there at the front of that sleeve. The bigger one attaches to the back of the box itself. See how that works? And then you have something that is going to pull open and your top panel, like the one with my pot of gold, will pop up. So you just want to put adhesive on the front of that interactive mechanism there, and that's where you'll attach your cover piece. Now you can do this with or without that rectangle piece. Like I could have just attached that pot of gold. You can, if it covers up that piece, you can just attach it right to that little arm. All right, so now I'm stamping surprise inside and cutting this down so it's about 1/4 of an inch wide, and this is going to fit right below that panel that is my pop-up panel. And then it tells the recipient there's a surprise inside. And here's one of those surprises. This is the Lucky Friend. Oh, I will link this for you below. It's something friend. And it has 2 clovers in it and 1 shamrock. So I'm going to color out the shamrock. I'm starting with G09 as my darkest color. Then I'm bringing in G05 and making that green area a little bit bigger, coloring over what I already colored to soften out the blend. And then G03 is my lightest color. And I will just, continue and color each of the leaves on this the same way. And then that is the piece I'm going to add to that little piece of window sheet. And then on the back, I'm adding a second one. This is going to make it nice and sturdy, have a finished off look, and it really helps it to kind of pop out of the box because it makes it a little bit heavier. I added a little bit of shimmer, although it's very hard to see on camera. And I decided, oh wait, while I have this out, let me add it to the other clovers on the front. So I did that, and it just adds a fun little element that kind of matches that rainbow background because remember it had a little shimmer in that spray. Okay, next is the words open here. I'm going to put that on the front of the box. So there's all kinds of directions on this, but I think it's super helpful and it makes it very interesting. So open here, pop, and the surprise inside could be not only that pop-up piece, but also a gift card. This box actually fits a gift card perfectly. And then you could put a little candy on top of that. I think on this one, some of those gold coins that are chocolate would be really fun to add to this. So look at that, how it pops up and it kind of jiggles. I love it. So we've got the pop-up mechanism, we've got our hidden message, we've got our extra pop-up shamrock there, and then you can hide a gift card in it. So it's very interactive, very fun. It's a good surprise. It's a nice way to gift just a little something on St. Patrick's Day, right? And also lots of ideas that you can incorporate if you're making this box for any other occasion. So there's the box, but I had to make a card because when I hot foiled that green piece, I had the leftover foil. I'm going to show it to you right here. And I decided I wanted to use that. So I put down a solid hot foil plate. Then I put the foil pretty side down, then my white paper, a shim, an extra shim, and then I put a shim in the middle because I kind of feel like the middle of my plates don't hot foil well when I'm doing a solid piece. So once that heated up, I ran it through the die machine and let's see what we get on this paper. It's pretty magical. I love it. But I will say my first one did not foil perfectly, so the center of this isn't really awesome, but we're going to decorate that up. Now, normally I would cut this down with a die like this, but I didn't want any of the scratch marks on the plates of my die machine to interfere with my hot foil, so I actually just cut this to 4 inches by 5 1/4 with my paper cutter. Now I'm bringing in this rainbow die set. that I already had a bunch of rainbow pieces cut from, and I lined those up so I could figure out which order they would go in, and then I cut the cloud border there from some white glitter paper so that my little pot of gold could sit right on that. I'm going to tape that in place so I can figure out exactly where I'm going to adhere all these rainbow pieces. And I love that I already had these die cut out because it makes your card making go so much faster when you have some things already done. So sometimes when you have like a die set out, it's okay to like have extras that you die cut. If you have enough on your paper, you know, die cut a couple extras, throw it in with the die set, and it's ready to go the next time. So I glued those on, I trimmed off the excess, and I'm gonna save those pieces and use them for something else. And here's my gold. I'm gonna do this from some amazing sequin glitter paper from the 12 by 12 cardstock shop. They have this in a ton of colors, and I cannot get enough of it. It is amazing paper. For the coins, I'm going to also do these from that gold mirror cardstock, and that is going to help them just stand out a little bit from that sequin paper. Look how amazing that looks. So that's going to go right in there, and I am adding the word lucky to the outside of the pot. That's with that mirror gold paper on white glitter paper. Pretty fancy. I wanted to add a sentiment to the gold piece so that when you pull it out, it has a sentiment on it, but obviously I'm not stamping onto sequins paper, sequin paper. So I stamped the sentiment, I cut it into 3 little pieces so I could stack it up. So now it's going to say, lucky to be your friend. All right, I let that dry for a little bit since it is on a textured kind of paper, and I thought I would bring in some Copic markers and add a little bit of shading to my rainbow pieces just to bring them to life, give them a little extra something. And I just did a little portion of this. Then I brought in my pot of gold and my with the gold in it so I could see how much it covered this up, and I did make those areas a little bit longer after checking that out. And then I decided I would add a little of that shimmer pen that I used on the first card to each of those rainbows and really make this special. This card has so much shimmer and shine and glitter. I love it. So many different textures and fun things to catch your eye. So I did the same thing on this pot of gold where I added those chipboard pieces to the sides just to give me a little room for my pocket, and there is my element to add right in there, but it's tight enough that that's not going to fall out. Then I added on that die cut word lucky, and now it's time to decorate. I wasn't sure how I wanted to put the word pull on there, so I decided I would wait until I figured it out, and it's a simple thing. Yeah, I ended up doing the same exact thing I did on the box, but I wasn't sure, so I waited, and that sometimes is what I need to do, is come back to part of it later. And so I added those little tiny shamrocks. They're like confetti. They're so cute and so shiny, and I just added them all over the card. I added some white acrylic pen highlights to the pot, which I also did on the one on the box. I'm not sure if I shared that, but it's a Copic acrylic marker. And then I used a number 5 Jelly Roll pen to add white highlights to the rainbow as well, just to give it more of that look of shine. I'm adding some dry adhesive to my card base, not adding it to the back of my hot foiled piece, because if you do that, sometimes your glue will show through the foiling. So I always use dry adhesive on the other side, the thing I'm sticking it down to. I added my extra rainbow pieces to the inside of the card, and then I'm going to use this Shamrock Swirl hot foil set, and I am going to hot foil a shamrock to put right at the top of that rainbow. And look at this like faceted green foil. It's so good. So I'm going to hot foil the shamrock to this lighter green, and this is so gorgeous a foil. I feel like what I'm hot foiling doesn't necessarily do it justice because it's just like the outline, a very thin outline of the shamrock, but it's still pretty cool. So check it out. So awesome. All right, and then we'll go ahead and die cut that out with the coordinating die. This is going to fit over the top of my rainbow perfectly. And I love that I got like a 2-for-1 with those rainbows, right? A little bit on the outside of the card and a little bit on the inside of the card. And there's not a ton of room now to write on this card, but there is that whole left side. We could be non-traditional and just write over there, right? And sometimes maybe you don't have a ton of things to say. You just want to give a little note to say love you, which is totally the sentiment I'm going to add to this card. So this is the Simply Sentimental Love stamp and die set. I'm going to die cut out that word love right there from some white glitter cardstock that I'm going to back with rip and stick sheets so I can turn each of those letters into a sticker, which is what I did with the word lucky as well. And then I can just stick this down, but I was kind of worried about the placement, so I just brought out the shadow die and laid that down so I could kind of have a guide, and it would help me more evenly space out my letters and get them exactly where I wanted them. So I love that the O in this word is a heart. Isn't that cute? And then I took the smallest U from this set and I'm going to stamp that with some white ink. You know, had a person been smarter and thought farther ahead, I could have embossed this with white powder before sticking everything down, but because I only thought to stamp it right then, I decided that I would not emboss it. I didn't want to mess anything up. You know, if I totally messed it up, I could stamp this on another piece of cardstock and cut it out and stick it down. All right, so I did decide to do the Shamrock with the word pull, just like I did on the box for this one. I was trying to think of another way to do it, but I just felt like this was really the best way, so that's what I did. And then let's put just a little hint of shimmer on the inside of this card on those rainbow pieces. And of course, I am also going to add some embellishment. Those little shamrocks, I love them. They're kind of like that faceted foil. They have that look to them. So we've got our interactive element there with the little pull out extending our outside sentiment, and then we've got the fun going on the inside. I just love interactive elements on a card, even if they're simple, like a little pull out piece, and maybe they're a little bit more stepped up, like this little surprise on the acetate. I love that. I think it really is something special that you can add to an interactive card, and they can be really easy to do. I also love an interactive element of a shaker card, and I think that you could use a lot of these pieces, like die cut that pot from the front of your card and make the pot a shaker. That's another idea I had. Maybe I'll get to it before St. Patrick's Day, maybe not. I don't send a ton of St. Patrick's Day things, but I think it's a little something that you can give that makes somebody feel special when they're not expecting it. So thank you so much for stopping by my channel and letting me share these projects with you. I love interacting with you, so let me know what you think of these projects in the comments below, and I will see you all again very soon with a new paper crafting video. Happy stamping! Bye!